So, good afternoon. It's me, Shane Lee. So, today we saw the movie, or I did. There's other people in the audience, of course. Amsterdam, right? Now, what it's really about, and here's the why you don't quite get it, right? Is it's about something that happens around the end of World War One. Right? Okay. Right. Yeah. And it involves this top official and these people who are involved with the war over in Europe, right? And of course, they're Americans, right? And of course, it's the white black thing, right? all over again. Right? But around the turn of the century, right? 100 years ago, right? A little bit, old school there. So that's the basic gist of the story, right? And of course, there's a doctor involved and a lawyer and, a nurse, right? Okay. And, of course, they meet because the two men get injured in the war. But, they know each other through him enlisting, right? The doctor, right? Of course. And there's reasons behind that, too, that the movie explains, right? And then, in the process of, that war, they go through all that, and then 12 years later, they get involved with another conspiracy. But this time involving something else, right? So that's the basic plot to the story, right? And this involves a very, again, prominent official who they want to involve in the plot, right? And someone else who they approached about it didn't want to do it, and he got, offed. And so they're investigating it because the daughter of the man wanted to know, played by Taylor Swift, who the person was who offed the prominent figure. Right. And that's part of the story as well. So we find ourselves in that first situation at the beginning, though last too, right? And again, goes back to the original storyline, right? It tells about, how they met too. Of course, that's a flashback, right? As most movies have, right? And it explains the whole thing, right? So they still follow your typical pattern, right? That something happens bad in the modern day, and then they have to trace it back to how they met, and then they go back to where they're at, right? And solve the mystery, right? And, of course, that's where Amsterdam comes in, right? But they went there, let's just say, and they left, and again, that's part of the movie, right? That's where they met, right? Well, not quite, but they went there for some reason, left there for some reason, and then might have even wanted to go back, but that's where again, you gotta watch the movie to find out the end there, what happens, right? So not giving away too much details, but that's what a book report is, or a movie critique, right? The way they run the commercials today, all you know is it has something to do with Amsterdam and a murder, maybe, right? But not the actual plot, right? Yeah. So that's the actual plot, right? prominent figures murdered someone important to the first war, and again, but they're in a certain time period before another war starts. You know what wars are. But they involve other people, right? And the daughter of the prominent figure thinks he was murdered, of course. We didn't know that from the commercials, right? But what's the gist? Well, it goes back to World War One, before the Second World War, of course, right? And goes into some stuff we didn't understand about it, right? And there's a little bit of truth, though. They change the names sometimes, right? But a true autobiography, the autobiographer don't change their names, right? Now, when I had my ghostwriter help me with my book, he even paid to publish it for me. The reason I have to reveal that, and I told him about this too, is if A, it's not selling well, and B, I let him take a little bit of liberty with it, right? And that's why we're still discussing it, though, right? Now, his name was Christopher Walker, but it's not the Christopher Walken, right? So a different dude altogether. I think his middle name was Stoltz or Stolzen or something like that. But whatever, right? You can find an interview with him on Twitter, too. And of course, I got other accounts on other sites, too, not just YouTube, right? But at least two, for now. So that's the whole premise there, right? Yep. All right, so go see it. Don't. That's up to you, right? I think it was a good movie. I kind of enjoyed it. I got the humor, right? You know. And I think you'll like it. Okay, there you go.